And now for our final showcase of today on the MedTech stage here at Investival Showcase London, we have Maiques from Neuroelectrics. Thank you very much.
Very happy to be here talking to all of you. So let's start by listening to Rosalia, new song. So you have to look for the high note, the highest note in Rosalia song, okay? So imagine one of the songs at Rosalia with the high note. So I was trying to reflect that the high note in Rosalia's new album means, for example, a brain suffering from epilepsy. So when you suffer from epilepsy in your EEG, there is hyperexcitability, which creates the seizure. So at Neuroelectrics, we've been obsessed with both decoding the human brain, but also stimulating the brain. So you see me now. Any of the electrodes I'm wearing now can either monitor your brain or stimulate your brain. So it's really a diagnostics and a therapeutic intervention that, as you can see, it's portable and can be done at home. So why is this useful? Because there are 100 billion neurons in your brain, and not everything is biology or molecules. There is also the network, the electrical system in the brain. So we are FDA and CE mark for Enovio, which is our diagnostic device, but we are also about to read out our FDA epilepsy trial. So right now, my brain is super attentive because we are in LSX. So this is like my brain activity, right? Red is more activity. So if I would suffer from epilepsy, you will be like seeing a high frequency under the electrode. But with our software, we can decide to stimulate, either excite or inhibit any neuron network in the brain. So this is the stimulation paradigm. So one of our secret sauces is like every brain is different, every disease is different. So how do you know where to stimulate if you suffer from epilepsy or from depression or maybe Alzheimer's? And it's about the computational neuroscience behind the company. My co-founder is a physicist and technology and mathematician. So we are developing what we call neurotwins, which are digital copies of your brain that mimic your biophysical and your electrophysiology network, so that we can simulate how will you respond to our electrical stimulation. So, what are we doing with this amazing cap? We have two businesses. One is profitable and cash positive, which is our diagnostics building business, and the other is therapeutics, which we are about to do the interim analysis for epilepsy. So our company started in Barcelona, but we soon in 2014 opened our first office in Boston, Massachusetts, and the founders, we moved to Boston for 6 years, where we get most of our Series A investment, which was $25 million in 2021. So, as you can see in this CNBC feature, we were born in the beautiful Tibidabo mountain in Barcelona, which is an amazing place to build our company. And I'm very proud to say we have a factory manufacturing more than 500 devices per year and shipping into 74 countries. So I'm very proud to say that, we have a completely, hardware, software, and high-tech business in Barcelona growing to the US. So when we landed in US in 2021, one of our investors was Henry Termeer. He was our mentor, CEO of Genzyme, before it got sold to Sanofi. And also Morningside, which is a very prominent life sciences investor in Boston. We have a great team, and it's funny how coming from Europe to the US, it was pretty hard to raise money as a woman from Barcelona, but I made this 20 million, and from being told that I couldn't raise money in Boston, I end up being Goldman Sachs Entrepreneur of the Year. So I think that is like kind of a beautiful testimony of how the US, if you work hard, if you persevere, I think you make it, right? So very proud of my team. So let's see what we are doing in DX. So in DX, we are growing very fast. Our revenues were 4.6 in 23. We skyrocketed to 7.4 in 24, and we are expecting 10 million this year. We have a phenomenal gross margin, 85% more or less, because we are manufacturing everything in Barcelona. We have the license to manufacture medical devices. And a really good EBITDA. We sell into 74 countries. I have 6 salespeople on my team, 1 in Beijing, 2 in the US, 5 in Europe, 4 in Europe, and then 25 distributors all over the world. So that's how we are growing on revenues. And we are selling mainly to researchers, which that's the way we started to bootstrap the company, the European way, but also to pharma companies that are using our devices for their clinical development in CNS. So we are happy to have huge contract with Longboard, bought by Lundbeck, developing a molecule in epilepsy, and also Alto Neuroscience in Santa Clara, which is doing EEG to stratify patients for schizophrenia and other mental drugs. So, and then since 2024, we've been selling to the emergency rooms of many hospitals, and let me tell you why we are so excited about that. So, you know, as you can see in the 3 lines, research is the dark green, and the light green is pharma, and the yellow green is clinical. We really believe in the growth of the EEG in the clinical setting because we know that this portable device can have a lot of help into the emergency room, maybe ambulances, and as a halter mode, right? So, because if you now go to a hospital and we publish a paper to emergency room, there is no EEG being performed unless there is an EEG technician on board. So they have to come with the trolley all the way from somewhere else in the hospital and perform an EEG. And if it's the weekends, in many hospitals, they don't have an EEG technician. So if you come unconscious to the emergency room, they may give you the wrong treatment and wait until Monday, and you may have a stroke or an epileptic seizure, and nobody knows unless they do an EEG if you come unconscious, right? So we've been testing this and showing into the emergency room in this hospital in Barcelona, for example, that with our device, it takes only 10 minutes to do an EEG, and the patient doesn't need to wait an average of 10 hours to get an EEG done. So I think that time is brain, and our technology is really capable of doing so. So we are manufacturing, as I said, 500 devices per year, but we can do 8,000. So, you know, you don't have to manufacture in China to have great operations. You can do it in Europe, and we have a lot of space to grow. So in terms of stimulation, which is an area that we are very excited, when we came to Boston, the first indication we went after is epilepsy. So we reached out to Boston Children's, to Beth Israel. We got a grant from the government of Massachusetts. So another sign of how scaling from Europe into Boston, you even have the government supporting you if what you have is really good. So for the entrepreneurs in the room, if you're good with your technology, if you have a unique niche, you can scale up into the US. And I think the system will welcome you. So what we did is we started with epilepsy for one particular reason. It's the same in Europe. 1/3 of all epileptic patients don't respond to medication. So they take drugs and they keep on having seizures. But out of those, we know that 340,000 have a very well-identified focus. We know where the seizures are coming from. So only 3% are receiving treatment, either a craniotomy, removing the part of the brain that is creating the seizures, or VNS, or RNS, or DBS, Medtronic, Neuropace, so on. So a really huge unmet need. So what we did is we stimulated patients 10 days, 20 minutes every day, and we had to compare 8 weeks of seizure tracker with the follow-up period. And we made a cover of Clinical Neurophysiology. On this, we had children and adults, and this is how we did the therapy. So what we did is ask the neurologist to do an MRI and an EEG of the patient, and then in our software, mark where the seizures are coming from. So what is the area, the focal area generating the seizures? And in blue, you have inhibition, right? Because we wanted to reduce the neural activity under that area. So then our platform builds a 3D model of the patient brain. How thick is your scalp? What is your conductivity? And we start to compute how many electrodes and how much current do you need to get to that target map. And in epilepsy, the patient at the hospital receives a color-coded, personalized hardware cap with the positions coming from the computational neuroscience model and the dosage that is required. With that, we showed that we could reduce seizures 44%. So 10 days of stimulation, 20 minutes, baseline versus follow-up. So really phenomenal effect. So with this data, we raise our Series A of 20 million, and this is what we are doing now. So 150 patients, randomized controlled trial, phase 3 in 40 hospitals, 20 in Europe, 20 in the US. And we are having an interim analysis at the end of this year. So around December, January, we will know if the interim analysis is good. We are with 110 patients now. And what I can tell you is that we have stimulated 210 patients so far, because we have an open label extension as well, and no adverse events, so huge safety profile. Unless other speakers, I'm very happy with the FDA. They've been very supportive, and the neurological devices, the leadership is on top of things, and 70% of the patients have participated in the open label extension. So finger crossed, maybe I threw $25 million to the bin, or maybe we are successful. You know, that's the beauty of investing in new technologies. So wish me luck. And our business model is to price this technology in the US, this therapy, at $30,000 in an APC outpatient code. This $30,000 is for the 3 years life of the device, meaning that it's around $1,000 per month, which is similar to a Keppra standard drug treatment, and surgery in the US is around $100,000. So, you know, for payers, it's like, don't send the patients to surgery, put them in neuroelectrics therapy first. And the other thing is that only 15% of all patients in the United States make it to a level 3 hospital where surgeries are being performed. So you have all these patients, 85% in level 2 hospitals where there are not neurosurgeons, and therefore is really an untapped market. So we think we have high level success in the business model. And for that, I have paused now the Series B fundraising to wait for the interim analysis. So we'll see. We will resume next year when we have the data from the FDA. But it's $20 million for 10 to finalize the registration of the FDA and market launch, and 10 to scale up diagnostics. So, you know, as I said, we hope you don't see the sound here. That now here in the Rosalia song here, the voice is flat and it doesn't have a high note, so we can hope that all the brains will have a flat sound and there are not high notes reflecting epileptic seizures. Thank you. Questions? Yeah. Wait, I have to put this.
So the 30,000 treatment, is that then repeatable, or after 30,000 you consider the patient cured?
No, we are only, for the moment, we are only providing symptomatic relief of the symptoms of epilepsy. It's yet to be seen whether with the course of electrical stimulation for years, whether there is some, rewiring of the brain. So far it's going to be a chronic disease. And, we have looked at Livanova, we have looked at Medtronic and NeuroPace, and we have put our lifetime of the device 3 years. So after 3 years, we repeat. So that's why in our business model, and it's around $10,000 per year, and the patient can use that at home, repeatedly.
So the lifetime value of each patient will be their whole lifetime?
Yeah. And I don't have data to support this, but in NeuroPace, they started with a 40% seizure reduction, and through the course of time, like after 1 year, patients got a higher seizure reduction because of the plasticity of the brain. We are estimating that through many courses, we will increase our seizure reduction, but we don't have the data. We only have 2 cycles in our FDA trial. But it's chronic disease. Same for depression. In depression, we did a pilot, 35 patients, 1 month, 30 minutes every day at home. So we don't have the funding to do the pivotal, but in that case, patients would do 1 month at home, 1 month they will rest, 1 month of stimulation, 1 month they will rest. That's the idea. And it's also a chronic disease. We want to be called like the TMS at home, transcranial magnetic stimulation at home. So that's what we are aiming for.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.